What's up, everybody? Steve here. Welcome to the week 2 update, Project Mayhem 84. And I had a good week of training in week 2. It was really exciting. Week 2 was a whirlwind with life, work, and everything. We're still getting settled into a new routine because my wife just started teaching with her master's this year. So 7th grade, her first year. She's definitely really excelling, but it's a big life change for us to have 2 jobs, kids, and the kids are going to school because of that, as opposed to homeschooling 2 years ago and then last year, being in public school. But it's been great. So that means I got to be more efficient with my time, plan better, and in order to get in 5 hours and 45 minutes of training, which I did, and I'm very happy with the sessions I did. I started the week off with a long run. It was 9 miles of work, a pyramid long run with a 1 mile cool down afterwards. And like I said, the last 3 miles I was really testing some paces where I think I could hold at the end of a 70.3, and I was pleased with those. I did 1 bike session this week, just a 30-minute hit session on the trainer. I did 3 lifting sessions along with 4 core sessions to get the strength in. I did an hour swim, actually a little bit slower than last week and a little bit more effort. I don't know if that was because I really focused on longer yards. It was a pyramiding swim set, 400, 600, 800, on total of 2,100 yards in just under an hour. So, that went well. But like I said, I did feel a little bit more tasked than the week before, whether it was the fatigue from the training or, whatever. But that was really good. And then I did a speed run at the end of the week on the treadmill, just half an hour. And it all stacked up to that time. I'm feeling good. I do feel like in the month since I started loosely intermittent fasting that I have been stacking some wins there. I'm about 4 pounds down from where I was. I weighed in at 164 in the middle of the day yesterday, so the end of week 2. So that was amazing. Small wins, it's something that is sustainable. And if I could get down another 4 pounds in the next 8 weeks under 160, that would be a win. That's where I think is a positive weight for me. And I do feel like I am getting a little bit stronger with the free weights and noticing some minor body changes as well. So we're on the way there. Who knows, we'll get to Tyler fucking Durden by the end of this, but we're going to give it a shot. And then I wanted to touch on 2 things. One, I mentioned last week about having a partner for something like this. It's like if you're going to go on something long, it's great to have a compatriot, I've basically been piggybacking James's idea with this challenge, but we've been communicating through this medium a lot here on YouTube about it on a daily basis, and that's awesome. I'm not saying there's accountability, but there is that recommendation and that person there, and even if he's not holding me to it, having him there, and wanting to meet what he's doing with my own level of investment and effort is something that drives me to keep doing it and to get to the end of the challenge. So last time when I did a 70.3, I had another Insta buddy who was doing his first triathlon as well, Mark Smeets, and him and I went through all of that together, and we're still in touch today 4 years later. And we were communicating almost on a daily basis about training, about life, about the wins, and then as the race really drew clear, somebody to share your excitement. So I would really recommend that for anybody. And then in James's video yesterday, he was talking about journaling, and that's something that I need to do more of, and maybe I'll put it on this medium, and he went through 5 questions. I'm going to kind of take 1 and spin together. He had 2 questions out of and go at them together. So, his last question was, what are you doing now that's just for you, and how can you protect that? And I've been reading a lot more, the last couple months. It's just fiction, reading the Game of Thrones series, and that's a mental stimulus, and it's great, and I do that completely for me, a lot of ways the fitness stuff I do completely for me and my sanity, but of course, there is a benefit in everybody around me, which anything that you're doing for yourself is going to benefit someone else, because if you're happy, fulfilled, and satisfied, the people around you are going to get a better version of you. But, we need to protect our own sanity, and things you love and things that drive your happiness, we need to remember to do those, to make time for them and focus on them. And, in the end, our priorities are the things that are going to get done, so it's making those things a priority. And I think the thing I can do to protect it all is to schedule it and to get to it earlier in the day. For me, we've got a very busy life with 4 kids, again, 2 jobs, a household to maintain, all of that, and it gets pointed 10,000 ways. And that's the second question I was going to tie in with is, he talked about how when you're at your best, what is it that that's got you there, and how do you maintain it? And that's a very rough paraphrase of what he went through. But when I'm at my best, I think it's that sense of calm, because we're always putting out fires, in this life with the kids and with my ADHD. You're definitely going to be stretched thin in ways, and focused. And when I am at my best, I'm my fittest, I've slept the best, I've planned my time and done all those things. And to do that, it takes that dedication, that discipline to do it. And I do think I'm really good with discipline. I plod along, and I think that is probably my strongest characteristic as an athlete. I would say I've been fairly blessed with a reasonably decent base endurance body. I'm able to do long things and go long and stay with that. And I improve up to a somewhat reasonable level. I also think I have a fairly moderate ceiling too, because no matter how hard I train, no matter how hard I kind of focus on something, I'll get to that level, which is something I'm proud of and something that's very average. But I've never been able to tip anything over it, whether it's long distance, running, cycling. I've never been able to be elite. Now, most of us won't be elite, so that's fine. But it's just just doing all those things and trying to balance it and be yourself. And that's the thing, is if you're happy with who you are and you can come to that realization that I give zero shits about what the world thinks of me outside of maybe a few people. That's ultimate self-awareness, in my opinion. And the more of us that can approach that, the better. And hopefully we got a lot more time to continue to work on that, all of us, and get better at it. Like I said, I'm very happy with where I am in that aspect. And when I am at my best, that is an overriding thought. It's like, hey, well, I'm good enough. I'm happy with who I am. I think that was Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live. Gosh dang it, people like me, maybe they don't, but as long as I believe they do, perception's reality, right? But thank you guys for tuning in on this tangent. Anybody's following the adventure, feel free to jump in with us. Make your own challenge. Maybe it's this, maybe it's something else, and try to succeed at it and move forward with your contentment based on how that fits into your life. And stretching and pushing your boundaries, for me, is why I do all this, to find that limit and see what happens. That's why I love endurance sports. That's why I make the time for it. So thank you all again. Have a great day.